This is why we have integrated training. This is why you can't, in my opinion, right? It's not as best to go just to the finance coach or the relationship coach. Because if you actually fail, and we all will fail, I have failed, I will fail again, right? You have to embrace failure. We should be setting goals to fail, right? We should be setting goals. So if there's any talk in amongst the coaches, it's like, set your goals high, make it so you fail. Even if I fail and if I didn't reach that, I still reached, good Lord, look at what I still did within where was I a year ago? Where am I today? Is that a failure just because I didn't reach what I set my goal at? You did awesome.
Man of Mastery podcast episode 76, the 1% Warrior with FBI agent Dennis Stoika. Hey, welcome guys, or welcome back. I'm Michael Bullock, the founder and host of the Man of Mastery podcast. I want to thank you guys first and foremost today. It's been almost 2 years since I started doing this, and the connections that have come out of it, the learning, the friendships, the impacts have just been phenomenal, incredible. And when I say impacts, first and foremost, for me. And then I hope I have the opportunity and that I'm effectively offering some of those forward. You know, some of the biggest things have been themes around consistency and the journey, right? Sticking to the journey because, and we even talk about it today with Dennis, there is no there, as they say. So with Dennis today, in addition to that, we talk about this new year, right? Here we are in 2020, the beginning of 2020, already March. We talk about new habits and how to create new habits for success, but to do that in a sustainable fashion. We also talk about something called front sight focus, if you're not familiar with that. And we talk about staying in the fight, not only in terms of self-defense, reality, real-world based self-defense, as Dennis practices and teaches, but really metaphorically, staying in the fight. And why maybe staying in the fight that we often hear is not exactly the right way to think about it. I mean, the best way to win a fight is never be in one at all, right? If you're in that situation, do you want to stay in the fight? No, you don't. You want to get out. You want to get away. You want to get to safety, preferably avoid that and stay safe in the first place. But you want to approach everything in terms of ending the fight, getting away from the fight, getting to safety, getting to that next level, whatever metaphor we want to use. So we talk about that in several fashions today with FBI agent Dennis Stoika. He's also a veteran of the U.S. Marines, former police officer, and a coach practitioner in so many different disciplines. But most of all, he is an integrated training coach, integrated warrior training, as he likes to say. So I think you're really going to enjoy this episode. Let's get into it today. That being said, with Dennis Stoika. All right, we are rolling. It's my honor and pleasure to welcome today Mr. Dennis Stoika of Modern Era Warrior and author. For those who are watching the video version of this, I'm holding up his book, The 1% Warrior. Happy New Year, Dennis. Good to see you.
Happy New Year, Mike. Thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to our conversation today. I've been doing a lot of podcasts towards the end of the year with regard to a lot of what we're actually going to be talking about today, too.
Yeah, no, I'm excited, brother. Excited to catch up on what you got going on, and glad the timing is right to get together and have a conversation. Let me let you introduce a little bit of yourself. Question I've got for you: what title do we use for you? Is it officer? Is it chief? How do you refer to yourself? You got so many credentials.
My Facebook profile says I'm a superhero.
Superhero. Okay. Superhero Dennis Stoika on today's show. I mean, you got
the 1% warrior, right?
The 1% warrior. That's how we'll call you. I mean, you got, I'll let you go through it, but you've got.
Seriously, Mike, I'm Dennis. Which is perfect, right? For you, all my students, my clients, anybody, right? No matter what hat I'm wearing in life, and whether that's the law enforcement hat, the business hat, the coach hat, or Dennis.
Fair enough. No, I appreciate that, and the modesty and humility that goes with it, right? Because you've got a military background, you've got a federal law enforcement background, you have training in so many different things. yoga, mindfulness, fitness, health, nutrition, kettlebells, unbeatable mind, Krav Maga. I'm leaving firearms. I'm leaving out like
A lot of
90%
stuff.
of it.
It's all good. We do a lot, right? Hey, that's why we're integrated warrior training, right? So I refer to my business as integrated warrior training, and I hope that's what you got out of the book, like the chapters in the book. Dive into a little pieces of nuggets of who we are, who I am, what the business is, what we do, what we support, who we support, and the effort that we're making to push to deliver, the type of people that we are, the business that we are, what we promote, our character, and ultimately being 1% better every day in every way. Right.
Love it.
Not a
Yeah,
path.
no, I'm really looking forward to having a conversation that springboards off the book, because the density of good stuff in there was awesome. I forgot Beachbody coach. So I don't know are you going to give us any hip hop abs today? We're doing hip hop abs? No. Okay.
That was early on in the career.
I've done a little Sean
It was a fun course though.
Yeah, I'm 100%. So, yeah, maybe just to set the stage for getting into the book and the material and what an integrated warrior is, that holistic view. All joking aside, give me a little bit more about your background for the audience and how it plays into that, what you deliver.
So I am a career law enforcement professional. I have 23 years almost done now in the FBI. We're approaching that here shortly. I'm about ready to start my 24th year before you know it. This has been one of the best years of my professional career. I got to work for the United States Attorney General all year. Obviously, we're in transition at the highest levels of our government with the president, and that will cause change for Attorney General. So I'll be working for a new boss that was actually just recently named here too, right? So we'll have to transition at the government, continue doing that, and hope they want us to do what we're doing or something similar to what we've been doing with regard to law enforcement liaison with the Governors Association and private sector, things of that nature, right? That's what I've been doing for the FBI for about a decade for the director too, and then just went over to go work for the Attorney General. So, but background in drugs and violent crime, and of course, administrative type stuff. You can't go your career without touching sometimes human resources or, inspection matters. This is what I worked for a long time as well. Police officer for a few years outside of Chicago, Illinois, specifically Skokie. And then before that, I was in the Marine Corps for 4 years, and then high school, football, stuff like that, where I think I started learning even before that, how to be a leader, being around good coaches and mentors in my life at a very, very young age. So that's the career aspect of it. Yeah. And then the part-time business aspect is the passion and the purpose that I have in outside of law enforcement. So obviously after the Marine Corps, I got into law enforcement and then ultimately federal law enforcement, a purpose in my life to serve others. My passion for me is actually, if you get the book, it's everything in that is my passion. And I'm so lucky that I'm able to actually provide that to other people, so passion is what you have inside of you. Purpose is what I can actually deliver to other people. So that's integrated warrior training, which is performance coaching or mindset coaching, executive type coaching, depending on how you want to maybe refer to it. Ultimately, it all leads to the same thing, right? But it's traditional coaching type. And we can talk a little bit how our coaching might be a little bit different than some other coaching that's out there, right? But coaching that I promote is integrated. It's not working just on finances or relationships, right? Integrated warrior training is working on aspects of the body, aspects of your being, aspects of balance in your life with your relationships, and what I refer to as business or finances, right? And a larger scale, you can look at what's referred to as the wheel of life as well, with more than 4 categories that you would actually sit down with someone, right, and see where they want to work and ask them where they're at in their life in all those areas too, right? But so we have business coaching or personal coaching, and then we add in aspects of fitness, nutrition, heavily involved with yoga for the mental and emotional control, right? And part of that is beyond the fitness is throwing in reality-based self-defense, grappling, striking, firearms, right? To make sure that we are a warrior. We can take care of ourselves. We can take care of our family. We can take care of our team. And it's just overall good stuff to add in that physicality of not just fitness. But if we're going to do some fitness, we might as well, like, I don't know what to tell you. Go all in, right? You can't be a warrior unless you're going to add in some self-defense, firearms fitness, and stuff like that too. That comes a lot from obviously military training, right, and law enforcement training too. Right. And truthfully believing that there's a 1% warrior in everybody, whether you're a United States Marine, a Navy SEAL, a mom that's staying at home with her kids, someone in the boardroom, or whatever, 17-year-old kid finishing up high school, right? That's trying to wonder, what do I do with myself for college or the military, or where do I go next, right?
Yeah, no, I'm a big believer that we've all got some inner warrior with a different mission, with a different purpose for each of us. Yeah. And so that means something different for each of us, right? But I forgot in kind of picking off some of your credentials, a depth of the not only the firearm stuff, but the self-defense, the martial arts, Krav Maga, amongst others. So that, it is an important part of the physicality, and maybe unfortunately in the world we live in, or the way the world's always been, perhaps it is volatile and it is uncertain, and there are dangerous things. Maybe there's not a tiger lurking around the corner for us in modern life, but there are dangers out there. So maybe, just to hit on that while we've got it open before we unpack some other stuff. Sure. You mentioned in your book the Cooper color system, which comes out of the military background and certainly applies to the sheepdog type of thing, the warrior type of thing, but probably maybe more broadly to everyday life. How many times do you see somebody crossing the street looking down at their phone, right? So it's not necessarily about an attacking danger, but just the danger of the environment you're in and the world around you, or maybe an awareness of what's going on with your relationships and people. If
that's the word I was going to use, right? You hit it right. And I always love when I do podcasts, you just have a little pen and paper, so I can, when you say something to jot it down. You said it right. So awareness, right? Awareness is the first premise in coaching. Whether it's, look, and by the way, I'm a coach in multiple systems. Unbeatable Mind is one. John Maxwell is another, and I'm currently getting another certification well through the program already for Jay Shetty. And no matter what program that you're involved with, if you're in some type of coaching program, right, from multiple different experts that are out there, they're talking about growth, right? You have to have a good growth mindset. Yep. And everyone's talking about awareness first, right? So if you are not aware of your own thoughts, right, and start identifying who you are and what your purpose is, characteristics, right? And then, like in a wheel of life type of thing, or how Unbeatable Mind does it, right? With mountains. I have to identify what I want in life before I go after it. I have to know what I want in life, what I believe to be my number one, actually is my number one thing I should be focusing on, right? I could be focusing on something and find out that that's really not the thing I should have been focusing on. That could be a byproduct of something else, right? So you get a little in the weeds on some things, but absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's great. I love the awareness focus. Just had a really deep conversation with another guy on Friday about that. But even beyond awareness of where we're headed, sometimes it's just a wake up call to awareness of what we've been doing. To use, like a Stephen Covey, caught in the pounding surf of life, or the treadmill, or the rat race, or whatever you want to call it. Some people focus on it as intentional living. Just awakening to, well, I have choices, and let me make intentional choices and head in a direction.
So important, Mike, on when I first sit down with a client and identify what they want to work on, we also start to identify what I need to get rid of, right? Because you need to be working on the 80% that matters the most. And there's a lot of people's life that they're working on the 20% that matters. And there's all this 80% of that VUCA, right? That all these other things that distract us. So it's very important to have that awareness, not only on what's important in our lives and how we're living our own life and living with intention, right? But also to decide what I have to get rid of, to include some relationships sometimes, minimize those. And it's all about making sure that I'm putting I say 1%, the 1% warrior, grow 1%, but every day in every way. That's just because that that is the secret to life, right? So you wouldn't have, and it is what, yeah, I've done a lot in my life, training with a lot of Krav Maga experts in the world and grappling and striking experts and the firearms and all these things that I've done, right? But everyone can do this. So there's no one out there that can't do this, right? And it doesn't matter whether I have a 60-year-old in my, is one of my clients in the gym, right? She's a doctor, a chiropractor, and she's she's amazing shape too, right? In mind, body, spirit, and also looking at at learning more of that mental mountain, right? How do I transition my business in order for me to continue working from 60, maybe even to 90? If I'm a chiropractor and I can't physically work on someone like that long, how can I transition my business offerings and services, right? So coaching is for everyone. Having mentors is for everyone, and having communities of practice is for everyone, right? And there's a piece of that book too that talks about having all those aspects in your life, right? And it doesn't matter whether you're Dennis at a young age, Little League football, having coaches and mentors, right? Learning leadership, right? Learning leadership at such a young age too, right? Or in the Marine Corps, or me being around amazing people that I've, Attorney General Barr, Attorney General of the United States, right? Other people at high levels of being able to work with people in the FBI or that come in from outside to have, liaison with people around the country, unbeatable mind, right? Coaches, and whether it's for coaching or yoga. And, we have to find the people, right, that can help us grow, people that have already had failures, and listen to podcasts like yours, Mike, right? Because if something's interesting to you in whatever field, that's who you're bringing on for people to listen to, right? And ultimately learn
and grow. Yeah, exactly. And it's I find it funny to observe, like, the maybe it's just cognitive bias, but you start coming across the same themes over and over again. And a call I got off earlier today and a call I had Friday, both people happened to comment that they thrived in 2020, and all the people that they knew around them were thriving. And that's not to minimize the challenges that are out there for so many people and that are real, in businesses and otherwise, health. But I think, to me, it goes back to that communities of practice that you're talking about.
Sure.
When you surround yourself with other people who are growth minded, who are looking to always be flexible and adaptable and move forward towards whatever it is vision they've got that's positive, that 1% growth mindset.
Yeah.
And use those elements that you mentioned of having coaches, mentors that can, steer you, correct
You
course
identify that one thing, maybe 2, 3 tops, right? We focus really on a couple things at a time. As a coach, you really shouldn't focus on much more than that. If you want to focus on one thing in your personal life, one thing in your business life, right? There's some I've worked with that said, you should only be focusing on only one thing, right? I'm a little more broad than that, because you can have more than one why in your life. You can have a why for your business. You can have a why for a career. You can have a why for a family. We do have different components of our life too, right? And they all affect each other, right? So even if you're working on one, if it's just your business or just your career, all that has to have balance. That's why balance is one of mine that I refer to balance, how I like to refer to things, body being balance. Because if you're not having balance, it's going to take away from other aspects of your life. And when you're having more balance, if you look at like a wheel of life to see where I'm at, or whether it's mountains or the big four, what I refer to, body being balanced and business relationships, right? You can identify where you want to work and start working those. And it's about having goals next. The next thing you need to do is, okay, if I want that, then what goals do I need to set to benchmark? What micro goals do I need to set every 6 months, 3 months, every month, et cetera, right? And then this is where we're at right now, Mike. It's January and people are excited. They're starting stuff, right? And it's about making the first 30 days. It's about making the first 30 days and making sure that my daily habits are part of me moving forward, right? And then, start what I love is, and I'm going to give the example, and I'm sure some of your listeners are guilty of this. I'm going to start working out, or I'm going to start eating better, whatever it may be, whatever that thing may be. They go so in, it's unreal. It's not a SMART goal, right? It's no longer a SMART goal. It's not, it might be specific. It might be measurable. Is it actually attainable? Okay. Right. Can I actually continue to do whatever that is that I want to do, right?
Is it sustainable?
Is it sustainable, right? And that's why, right? We're asking you to be 1% better every day in every way. If it took someone years to gain 80 pounds, you're not losing that in 30 days, right? If you've had significant change in some aspect of your life where you're changing your career, right? You can't expect to start your own business and have, maybe whatever, all the clients that you fully booked or making the money you want, et cetera, right? Maybe if you're lucky enough. I had a client this past year, quit his career, open up his own business, and he's killing it. I mean, nice. It's insane, right?
Yeah.
But this is why we have coaches. This is why we have mentors, all right? In order to grow and just do better. Learn from yourself, right? A good coach doesn't decide for you. He's helping bring that out with you, co-create your plan and moving yourself forward, right? And mentors, we should all, whether they're coaches, friends that I have, I'm constantly on the phone with people that matter to me the most, right? And surrounding yourself with others to help you grow. That means I have to be around people that are better than me.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, I think so many people, because it is the start of a new year, one of the biggest things people don't do is just start. Do something, right? Do something. And then the other thing, big pitfall you mentioned is doing too much. Like I've got a buddy that I roped into we got a 6-month goal. So we're going to meet in early June and we are going to run a 50-kilometer obstacle course race together. Awesome. So it's about 31 miles, right? So he goes, well, how do I build up to that? What's my running plan? And part of my answer was, I would rather see you run a little bit for 30 days rather than run 30 miles once a month, right?
Sure.
Which is kind of what you're talking about.
Yeah. And by the way, I've done 50 miles multiple times. So be prepared.
You're a machine. So you mentioned the word balance, and it just reminded me of something I haven't thought of in years. There was a guy that taught at a gym I was at decades ago, honestly. He was an old, an aging at the time, lifelong student of some martial art. And, he went through, kind of the typical elements of fitness, strength, and so forth. And he goes, look, I'm getting up there in age. The two most important things as I've gotten older, these other ones are important, but balance and flexibility. He goes, I want to be able to, if I slip, I want to be flexible beyond what I accidentally just put my joint through so I don't get injured. And balance, you see so many people older, fell down, broke their hip in the tub type of thing. But just as you said that, and that came back to my mind, balance and flexibility, not just in the literal sense, but in the sense of mindset and kind of flexibility for life. What if we could have balance and flexibility in all the integrated fashions of our life's journey?
So can you have it all? This is a question that I've really been having with myself and a few others occasionally, not too much, more with myself over the last probably 3 years. Can you have it all, Mike? And I'd like your listeners. No. Can you have it all?
No. And here's one way I'd answer that. Here's one reason behind my no. And this comes back to the 1%, to me, because I don't think we're going from 1% to 100. And when I like to focus on mastery, or as our friend and mentor in the Unbeatable Mind System says, there's no there. It's always a journey, right? There's always,
say it, Mike.
Right?
There is no there.
There's no final destination until we're not waking up tomorrow, and then we don't even know what's beyond that.
Yeah. So I was just about ready to say that too. It's that's been I've actually said that a lot the last month. There is no there, right? It helps in goal setting. Even if you think that you've reached a goal, that because you could be, I'm there, right? I made my goal, right. But cool, you made your goal.
Now what?
Awesome. Celebrate enjoy, and then start. I take this one. This is a phrase I use at work all the time. And I don't use it so much in the coaching world, but at work I use knocking down the dominoes. So, right. I mean, we all have seen some video where some guy set up just just crazy amount of dominoes, right? And the thing's going for like 10, 15 minutes, right? So you don't make 23 years in service, right? Or 28 years or 30 years, 40 years of doing something, whether, right, it could be marriage, it could be whatever, right? You don't make that unless you're committed every day in every way to knock down the domino. That you get up, and no matter what happened to you yesterday, right, that I'm going to get up again and I'm going to face whatever it is, right? Even though if I might have had a bad day yesterday, right, that we're going to continue. Just one of my mantras, and it was, from one of my students actually, is just keep moving. That's how you get through 50 miles, by the way, Mike. So
yeah,
one of the mantras I use.
Mm-hmm. I had the chance to talk to a guy you may know from, he was a Unbeatable Minds Summit speaker one year. He was born as a congenital amputee, no limbs below the knees or the elbows. And he says, not dead, can't quit. Not dead, can't quit. So let's talk about that a little bit in the sense of 1% and the role of failure in our journey, because it's not always ratcheting up and to the right by 1%. There's lots of setbacks.
Yeah, I love it. And you want to know why I love it, Mike? Because it's seldomly spoken about. Whether it's Unbeatable Mind, John Maxwell, Jay Shetty, other coaches I have conversations with. And if it comes up, most people are asking me, how do you address it? Because we haven't addressed this. So a lot of times it's addressed as, it's not necessarily addressed as you failed at something. Maybe that's for the positivity behind it. Cool, maybe. We don't want to be negative, right? We want to have positive self-talk. But where we talk about failure is there's always something to learn from our failure, right? What positive can I gain from it? And not just that, but is it okay to give up? I'm not dead. Is it giving up, or is it the OODA or any other mental decision-making tool that I will use, right? Observe, orient, decide, act is what I like because it's just easy, right? If I've tried something, and this is great in martial arts, if I'm trying to push somebody, if I'm trying to like a newer person, and they try something 3 times and it didn't work, and next thing you know, they're doing it a 4th time and a 5th time. Okay, and it didn't work. The other guy or gal on the bottom or whatever, right, knows better. Like, he wants to just waste his energy. Go right ahead. And this can be in the business world. It can be in your professional world, right? It's okay to make change. It's also okay to make change. Decide a different course of action, right? That doesn't mean if my purpose was something, all of a sudden I give up tomorrow, right? But how can I it's seldom that we're actually going to make a plan, and I'm going to put my rocket fuel on, and I'm going to go front sight focused, right, directly towards this task without any problem, right? That's not realistic. You're going to come up with bumps in the road. Things aren't going to work well. You're going to need to go get mentors and coaches, right, to help you get there faster, right? Can't go alone. Got to go with others to make sure that you're on your trip and on your journey together, right? So I don't know. What are your thoughts on this? Because my belief is that there's not enough talk about failure at all. And if there is a discussion, at least when I do it too, have these discussions, it's about, it's okay to make a direction change. That still doesn't necessarily address the failure, but look, it's just talked about little. Fall down 7, get up 8, right? Stuff like it's not talked in depth. But I'll finish with this, and then right, we can get some comment from Mike. But
yeah,
this is why we have integrated training. This is why you can't, in my opinion, right, it's not as best to go just to the finance coach or the relationship coach. Because if you actually fail, and we all will fail, I have failed, I will fail again, right? You have to embrace failure. We should be setting goals to fail. right? We should be setting goals. So if there's any talk in amongst the coaches, it's like, set your goals high, make it so you fail. Even if I fail and if I didn't reach that, I still reached, good Lord, look at what I still did within the, where was I a year ago? Where am I today? Is that a failure just because I didn't reach what I set my goal at? You did awesome, right?
Right.
So I'll finish with, it's about adding the other pieces in. So if I had a physical goal and I didn't make it, then there's still mental and emotional well-being, emotional control that's around that, right? My mental clarity that I'm okay that I didn't reach it. I still achieve these things, right? And spiritual aspect, whatever that may be for someone, right? It gave me whatever in my life. It's changed me because of this, right? So what are your thoughts, Mike?
I really like that. I hadn't thought about the asset of the integrated training approach being there as a pivot point in short-term failure. Or I love talking about failure because maybe the opposite of failure is success. I don't really see it that way, but I love talking about it because in our sort of Western mindset, we often celebrate success as a point in time event. But the reality is success is a process that takes years, and it absolutely, in almost every case, requires lots of failures. So if you really talk to somebody that succeeded in business or whatever it is, their history of getting there was probably years riddled with
It's the journey.
failures.
It's the you hit it. You said it's the
journey.
process. It's the journey along the way, which is your success.
It's the journey. It's Edison inventing the light bulb, when he says, well, I've discovered 10,000 things that didn't work. Right. And, we don't want to be the Einstein saying of insanity, doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting different results. The point is, maybe we have a result we want to achieve, and failure starts to communicate that the way we're approaching it is no longer working. Let's get creative and try a different approach. It's the old bang your head against the wall. It's not always just find a way through the wall. Maybe it's around it or over it or under it. Right. Let's think differently.
So I also think that it's a mentality. So, maybe some of those that are older might think that younger parents today or kids today, don't know what it's like to fail. Everyone gets the trophy. Okay, cool. Maybe that's the case, right? People also need to know that I can work harder, or still that I did good. I don't have to, not everyone's going to get the raise when you're an adult. Not everyone gets the promotion, right? Someone's business is doing better than the others, right? There are still successes that we should all celebrate. And, we should be celebrating our wins. And if you're not, you need to celebrate your wins, right? As a leader, as a team, you work hard. You should be happy with where you're at, right? And continue to just 1% better every day in every way, right? And on a path towards self-mastery in all different aspects of your life.
In all aspects. Yeah. No, I think the mindset piece is key. It fuels and gives perspective on everything else. If you're not failing, then I would argue that either you're lying to me and yourself, or you're just not trying hard enough. Your goals aren't big enough.
Not growing.
And even so, if we extend the mindset to, I got lots of participation medals hanging behind me on the wall from Spartans. Yeah. I mean, I've never won one. These are for finishing.
Sure.
And not everybody finishes, and not everybody finishes every race. But the point is, it's not about the start and the finish line. It's about each of the obstacles along the way. Some days I've got it, some days I don't. Well, I've got to get better at the rings, but I'm pretty good at the 8-foot wall, right? So there's all those, you talk about micro goals. I think there's micro failures too. And if we don't have a mindset of observing those, learning and growing from them, then we missed an opportunity.
No, absolutely. And again, so that's, people should be challenging themselves, especially so this time of year. I like to plan my integrated training plan in December, but I think the vast majority probably, if they do it in January. And this is the time of year we should be setting goals. We should be identifying what's important in our lives. And if you have not done this, this is the thing, Mike. there's plenty of people, 40, 50, 60 older that they don't have this. They just kind of just go through life, right? They just kind of go through life.
Right.
I would challenge people that have not gotten a coach in something that matters to them. It could be your relationship. We all have them, right? It could be your business as a business coach, right? It could be something that you just want to, that's a passion of yours, right? I challenge every one of your listeners to move forward. Find someone out there, right, that can help you move your passion and your principles and your purpose, right? It's amazing where you can be when you don't know what front sight focus is until that's what you're focusing on. And believe me, you can be married, have a relationship with your kids, your girlfriend or whatever, until you are mindful about it and aware about it and you journal about it and you meditate about it. You might think, and you probably are, it's probably a good relationship, but I'm telling you, you can take it over the top if you put more work into it, no matter what it is, to grow your business, increase your finances, have a better relationship with your spouse, your kids, right? And yeah, so can you have it all? Probably can't have it all, right? But if you're working on one area, and I guarantee you it will have an effect on other areas of your life. Yeah. So if you're having a good relationship at home, right, with wife and kids, I guarantee you, if you're running a business, you're going to be better at work, have better relationships, right? Knocking those dominoes down to do more, right. And hopefully they're making more money, and more people are aware of your products, your services, whatever it is that you sell, right?
Yeah, whatever defines success for you. Yeah, and I'll qualify what I said, right? Can you have it all? I said no because I think you're always going to want to keep growing in ways you might not think of today. Mm-hmm. Can you reach what you think is all today? Yes. And by the way, we got to just start with being grateful and happy for wherever you're at right now. So in a sense, we've already got it all right now.
One of the things I like to ask people here over this last year, I've started to use it more because of 2020 and COVID. I ask people what their definition of being rich is, and then I ask them what their definition of being wealthy is.
Yeah, those are two different things.
They're two different things. So this is the thing too, as a coach, right? For me, I love learning more. I want to know how I can better help the client. That's just something little I picked up. So if someone has an issue with finances for them, I mean, and this doesn't have to be a finance question. This is also a relationship question, right?
Oh yeah.
I can't do X because I don't make enough money. Well, do you need to make enough money, or do you need to make that? Do your kids need these type of genes? I don't, just an example, right? It comes back to relationships too, and what's important in your life, and then how you actually take all that in, right? And you might be when you have conversation with yourself, right, and a good communication with maybe your spouse or your kids, you'll find that that's an internal boo of yours, right? An issue you have that no one else has, right? That gets getting a little deep with the finish of that one, right? But I love, right, a lot of issues that we have within ourselves with certain things, right? You have to really look and ask a couple questions like this to yourself, right? To really get to the bottom. Is that the issue, or is it really something else?
Yeah. Or could there be something else going on? Is there another way to look at this? Is there another perspective?
Mm-hmm.
Well, so
I'm sorry, but the I, the we, and the it, right?
Sure.
Different aspects of self. And so I watched a video last night for about an hour, and it was all about the self. And I'm going to have to watch it a second or a third time. It was so amazing, right? On the different selves that we have within ourselves even. And it was like, whoa, it was just shocking. The more nuggets for me, right? And everybody else here that's listening too, right? One of those aspects of integrated training is mental, your personal PhD program, right? Watching podcasts, reading books, online programs, stuff like that.
Yeah. Keep learning and pushing yourself to grow. So let's, we've hit around a number of times here effectively why everybody needs a coach. I think we understand it in sports. We understand it with kids. We embrace it. We see it in top performing athletes. Maybe we embrace it better in some types of organizations. In the corporate world, my view and my experience is, we say mentoring and we're not very good at it. Let's talk about what that feels like, emotionally. What does it feel like? What does it look like to somebody who thinks that they're hitting it all on all cylinders alone? And I don't need a coach, right? I'm successful. I made it by myself.
So, I no longer really try to kill myself to if someone wants a discovery call with me and we'll spend whatever 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever it might be that someone wants to have a chat with, right? I can't convince someone that if someone's not ready to grow in a specific aspect or a certain way, you're not going to take them with you.
Yeah.
Okay. They have to be ready and be willing to do the work. Even if they signed up, look, I've had, and there are plenty of coaches out there. If you're coaching, people have paid for coaching and then they don't do the work.
I mean, this is the sweet spot. It's a sweet spot in owning a gym, right? Selling the membership in January and hoping nobody comes back.
Not the coach's fault. The person has to be willing and ready to do the work, right? So until someone with an addiction, right, like drugs, alcohol, whatever, is willing to actually make some change themselves, right, it's not going to happen. They provide the strategies, the tools, and the practices, right, that have worked for others. So once you're willing to do that, and if that's a person is a good fit for you, right, and the program is a good fit for you, then you can make some change together.
So while you grab a sip of water. So yeah, there's got to be some awareness and there's got to be a willingness and a commitment to do the work, right? Nobody's going to do the work for you. So one of your words is balance. What is somebody who may, be in a position to start being ready to grow? What does it look like when they're out of balance in an integrated lifestyle?
Yeah. So if someone's out of balance, I'll just give you some examples, right?
Yeah.
Someone that's out of balance could be never coming home. They think that their business or their work is just, whether it's demanding from the boss or themselves, something that's driving them to think internally that I have to be here, I'm going to lose my job, I'm not going to get promoted, or it's required, or whatever, right? And in some of those cases, it could be that the type of job does require X, Y, or Z, right? But that's still driving out of balance then your relationship with yourself, your health, your wellness, mental wellness, emotional wellness, right? It could be with a spouse or a significant other. It could be with kids or parents, right? Which could affect your sleep, which maybe affects how much coffee I drink, right? That I don't wake up and eat breakfast. I'm always on the run. It could be. This is why integrated training is a necessity, because the amount of sleep someone gets, time in nature, time they spend journaling, rituals, morning rituals, PM rituals, spot drills during the day. I don't know if I said sleeping, nutrition, what they're eating, right? How much time they spend on whatever issues they have. So if I know I have to work more because it's required, cool. Am I reading a book maybe with my wife or for myself on my relationship or for my kids, how to raise kids or whatever else, right? So everything is connected. Even if your issue is for this example, we'll just say it's work, right? So what am I working on? Because how am I going to fix whatever issue that I have is with work, because it's affecting myself, my health, my relationships with my kids, maybe even spirituality. It's just, I'm not happy anymore about anything, right? And maybe you have to get refocused on what your purpose is, right? In life, and maybe make a career change, or go to work for another employer, do whatever, something, if maybe it's not your right thing, wrong thing, right? When you find balance though, and it's there's no such thing as perfect balance either. Just like there's you can't have it all, right? So you can't have perfect balance either. It's always going to, right? It's a ship that's constantly rocking in your life. There's always going to be demands, right, from others in your life to pull you. I know what my 80% is, but you know what? I have to do things for work because there's someone else telling me I got to do it. You know what I mean? It might not be that 80% mission, right? So we have to do our best to maintain focus on what's important. And this is how a coach can help too. And when you're provided tools, strategies, tools, and practices, again, they're successful for others and repeatable for yourself, you can take these strategies, tools, and practices, help yourself, and you'll be surprised how much it actually helps with everybody around you, coworkers, bosses, kids, right? Even if you're not physically teaching them a coaching program, right? They're going to pick up around you. Or even then, you might be having a conversation with someone, whether that's a client, one of your kids, the spouse. And because of your training, you're just going to go, and maybe not say anything. I don't know. You get my point? Right. So that's mental and emotional control, right? Which is awareness. When you gain awareness, the first premise, right? We are better able to make our decisions in our life every day about everything, right? Every day about everything. It is amazing. Having emotional control is one of the greatest things. When you asked about the clients that don't think that they need anything, right? Even if someone doesn't work out or whatever, and then maybe they want to work out to be healthy, right? But almost everybody in my life, right, that I know, and I know a couple of well poised people that I'm like, that guy's never rattled, right? But there's things that excite all of us, I hope, right? And there's a ton of feelings, anger, love, right? And we can go on, and having control of our emotions is huge. And this is also part of integrated training, right? It's not just going to that finance coach or whatever. So you can still work on finances or relationships. Right? You don't have to go to a specialty coach in order to get better at those specific things. I would argue that those are stovepiped, and you should be having some consideration on how one change in your life is going to affect other aspects of you. If not, you're going in blind.
And it's okay to go out and get additional coaches, specialists in those stovepipes. And I think that's a great example of how integrated training is not only the multidisciplined integration within and for ourselves, but how we show up, how it affects and integrates with others around us.
And you hit it too, Mike. It's I've had plenty of clients that are seeing a coach, me, and a therapist at the same time. Right. And maybe have another person that they're getting coaching from for their business. Right. So all different aspects, right? When people want to grow, especially some business owners, right, that I've had coached in the past too.
Right.
And you said, so this person doesn't know maybe, or they don't think, right. I mentioned in the book. So professional athletes that make it to the highest levels, Olympians, right? A lot of business owners that are the top of the game, they all have coaches.
Right.
Every one of them has a coach, right? And I do think that we see some of this in our executive roles in some of the large Fortune 100 or 500 companies as well, right? We do. However, what I love about that is this. Getting a coach from your employer and your employer saying, here's a coach for you, is kind of like sometimes mom coming in with the kid to the dojo and saying, I'd like to sign my kid up for Krav Maga. Right. And I always ask, well, does little Johnny want to be here? Or do you want little Johnny to be here? Right? It's like teaching law enforcement officers too. So it's like they just have to go because it's a requirement. So, you have to have buy-in to. It's not so easy even teaching at the corporate level if the person can be fighting you every step of the way. Right.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll say it even a little bit differently. Is people might think of time value of money, and where they want to put their own focus. One of the great things with coaches is going out and to synthesize all these best practices, as well as know lots of things that don't work. So you might be someone very financially successful that uses a wealth manager or an investment manager, right? Because you're letting them specialize in something that is not worth your time to specialize in. Get help. It's okay to ask for help.
Oh, absolutely. Right. So Mike, this is an awesome one, right? So I don't do my own website. I don't do my own books for the business, right? Absolutely not. That's not what I do. I'm not good at that. This year I wanted to go online. We said we might mention, right? So my website, modernwarriors.com, right? The book can be purchased there. You can go to Amazon as well, right? On there's an online subscription for integrated warrior training. And there's about 150 videos on there.
Awesome.
I had people that I got coached from, right? That helped me be where I need to be for 2021 to start doing my own podcast, coaching talks, right? And recording of more self-defense and fitness, right? So I can be doing it more faster, live, taking in Q&A at the same time, all that good stuff, right? I needed coaches. This microphone, that webcam, the platform, the service, right? Foreign for Dennis to make sure things work when you're live streaming and stuff and storing it, stuff like that, right? So you hit it perfect, right? You can be amazing at something and still need
a team
because you don't have the time to work on it.
Right. You need a team. So let's head towards that as we start to wrap up on all the things you're doing and the new things you're doing. But a couple of quick ones I want to make sure I cover with you. The book we've touched on just a few things. There's so much in here, from integrated strategy to those disciplines and domains to tools. You mentioned breaking down goals and chunking them back to quarterly, yearly, quarterly, weekly, monthly, daily, etc. Lots of stuff in here. One of the things you do touch on, and I really love to ask people about that I have on the show, is in particular morning ritual. How do we start that day when our eyes open so we make the best impact in our lives that particular day? That's where it all starts to me, especially for busy people. What do you do and what do you recommend?
Yeah, so I'll tell you what I do, and then I have to tell you a little bit on what someone else just told me, which I'm pretty amazed with. I'm going to start asking people. But what do I do? So I get up at the days that I'm actually going into DC. I'm up at 4:00 in the morning, and I do not do my daily ritual in the house. So I'm the first stop on the train, and I do mine mostly sitting down, right? But I will have my morning shake here every day before I leave. Okay. Vegan protein shake, making sure that I'm taking in good nutrient, right, with water. And then I'm out the door after I'm dressed, right. I will do no less than 10 minutes of breath work and 10 minutes of meditation as soon as I sit down on that train seat. There's no one else in the car, really. I'm by myself for about 20 minutes from one stop to the next. It's perfect for me. Days that I'm home or someday when I'm totally retired, I will add movement to that too. Okay. So it's, and that's the beginner, folks. That's like, minimum 5 minutes breath, 5 minutes movement, 5 minutes meditation is what I would tell people to strive for, right? With a glass of water or some type of shake that's good for you, right? With nutrients in it. That is what I push for a morning ritual. If you have greater time, add your personal PhD program in. I do not do that in the morning, okay? But if a client or if I had more time, knock out some personal PhD program for you, online program, a book, etc., journaling. That's a great time. Some will tell you too, and I will tell. So it depends on the client, okay, too. So something has to work for people. So if you have the time because of whatever's going on in your life for work and kids and spouse and whatever, and you have the time to knock out that one thing that's most important to you within your first 1 or 2 waking hours, that's when you should do it. That's when you should do it because that's when you're going to have the most. You hit me here, okay? I love talking about energy. It's not about time. We all have 24 hours.
Right.
Okay. Would you want, it's not so much about having a 1 hour time podcast, 1 hour with somebody about whatever. If I'm not present, someone else that might be watching this is on their phone or talking to someone or answering the phone or on Facebook or whatever else, right? Versus 20 minutes of impact. Like how much energy can I actually bring to you within the time period that we're together, right? And how much can I focus and pay attention? That's a big piece for me. So my morning ritual, what I recommend for people, and I'll finish with this. Does your morning ritual start in the morning? Or does it start when you go to bed?
Yeah.
Mike, what are your thoughts?
100%. You know, I like to think about the first hour of the day. But that's really a misnomer because it might be
Yeah.
less than that. It might be more than that. And as you said, um, we spend too much time with linear thinking. This really is a continuum, and the night before sets up either success or failure in the morning.
It does. That's right. It does. So in certain things, I've been in the gym coaching for 13 years, my part-time business for 13 years. And then I love aha moments, talking to people, learning from people, doing podcasts like this, right? Writing more, journaling more, playing with technique, doing a different workout, right? It's my dojo and like office space, right? It's all experiments, right?
Right.
It's a laboratory, right?
Right.
So people should think that whatever they're doing, wherever they're at, it's a laboratory to continue to learn to. And I would challenge you that your morning ritual, even though we call it a morning ritual, you have what you do in the morning
Mm-hmm.
begins in the evening.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely does. There's so many ways to set it up. There's so many ways to throw it off track. You know, we're talking about failure earlier. I've done so many things to fail, and one of those is you screw up your evening routine. You know, you sit there couch locked on Netflix, and then you don't get up and
To bed
make
too late.
make 4 a.m. look like you want it to, or wake up with the same energy that you want it to.
And that doesn't mean don't enjoy yourself in life. Don't stay up with somebody that you want to spend time with or whatever, right? Just understand that if you want to be successful, you do need daily habits. And, you want to lose weight or eat well, eat the same things a lot, right?
Right.
Have that
Right.
shake in the morning.
Yeah, no, I think there's you kind of said minimal viable product, or maybe it's the non-negotiable that even if you have, I'm a big believer that even if you have something that's 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes of breath work in the morning, way better than nothing.
And I'm sorry, so
Yeah,
Mike, I want to push
yeah,
too, right? So the minimum to me is a 5-5-5. Okay, that's 5 minutes of breath, 5 minutes of movement, 5 minutes of meditation or journaling or visualization. You can, that last five, you can, once you get beyond breath work and movement, you can decide what you want to do for that last five, whether that's meditation, visualization, or journaling, or
nice.
a combination of, right? You could journal with virtually any of that. But I challenge people to start going 10, 10, 10, 15, 15, 15, 20, 20, 20. Down an hour might be a little hard for the average person.
Yeah, it depends on your routine, right? Or your what the flexibility looks like. The other one that for me, it's I mean it is routine. It's not that it's not those elements that you described about the quality of how you start your day and the directionality of how you start your day, but it comes back to energy. Your point about energy. For me, I find a lot more creative energy in the morning. So if it's about creation, if it's about writing, those kind of things, I find that better in the morning than later in the day myself.
Yeah, and that's why I mentioned that whatever your one thing is that's most important to you, do it in the morning, right? You'll have the
Do it in
most
the
energy.
morning.
You'll have that most creation for most, no doubt about it.
Cool. Let me ask you one more sort of tactical, way in the weeds thing, because when I have an opportunity to talk to interesting people, I got all these curious questions that come to mind. I'll springboard off of failure, literally getting knocked down. So let's go back to the self-protection warrior realm of things. And you mentioned like the example of somebody in law enforcement being sent to training that's required. Opposite of that, I see a lot of law enforcement going out on their own time, on their own money, getting trained up in additional ways. And now it seems very, and I know this is one of your training systems, some different elements of jiu-jitsu groundwork. You actually mentioned this in the book, and thank you for doing it, because so many people love that sport that they see in the octagon, which is not real life if you find yourself in that kind of situation. Tell me about groundwork versus getting off the ground in the real world.
Sure. So for someone that maybe doesn't understand, that maybe they don't know anything about martial arts, or they're looking to get into a martial art, right? Or a self-defense program, there's a difference between grappling, whether it's Brazilian jiu-jitsu, wrestling, and what we promote in Krav Maga. So there's a difference in what my view and my business's view of what even military and law enforcement should be doing, not others. And some very famous people push the jiu-jitsu aspect on the ground for law enforcement and the military, right? The bottom line is grappling staying on the ground is staying in the fight. What we're teaching for ground survival, which is the other term, ground survival, right, is actually about getting up off the ground as fast as possible. So I love my jiu-jitsu friends. I have a lot of famous people that I've trained with and I continue to have conversations with and train with, right? A little less this past year with COVID, right? But, and I am not a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. Okay. That is not where my life and love is, right? Mine is in the reality-based self-defense, firearms, functional fitness. We can talk about functional fitness and what that is maybe another time too, right? But having good grappling and striking skills is still very important at some basic level. You don't need to be, you can be the champion of the UFC and not have to have a black belt, right? Because it's different when things are, people are getting punched in. You're in a ring. There's a referee. Even some of my friends, right, that have family that have fought in the UFC, right? They've stopped some fights. Okay, so fights can be stopped. And my perspective,
there are rules.
And there are rules, right? And my perspective from law enforcement, right, is not that. And for all your listeners here, right, you should be doing, if you're interested, whatever reason brings you there. Okay. So if it's a good community and they're doing BJJ, awesome. Okay. I'm all about bringing you to the good community, right? For people that want to do what we do, doing it fun and safe, because they're mostly people that, want to be able to train. And this comes up in the color codes, how hard that we train, how hard can I train? And that's different for everybody, right? But my whole purpose is to make sure people don't stay in the fight, that they get up and then they survive. The longer I stay on the ground, in reality, implements can be used, right? Guns, knives, other people. I don't care whether I'm 90 or 19 or 16, right? We're not going to be the same person at different parts of our life. So we want a system where the concepts, the principles, the strategies don't keep us in the fight any longer than I have to, right? Any longer than I have to, that get me up and away for law enforcement and military, or even the civilian, to use any other tool that I can, right? To help defend myself, defend my loved ones, defend my family, escape, right? Escape. So that's the biggest difference between grappling and ground survival. It's about getting up, and we say there's a 5-second rule getting up off the ground. And so, Mike, I have to hit one last thing here.
Yeah, please.
Because we talk about, you mentioned color codes too, right?
Yeah, right.
Talking about the training aspect of this too, right? It's about taking your training. I mentioned in the book, there's only a few other people I know that have had conversations like this, right? Others have written about it too, similar in nature. You have your color codes, white, all the way up to the top. But I refer in the book to gray to black as well. Right. So there's others, like I said, I didn't come up with that first, right? But how we train in our martial art, right? Because at the end of the day, I teach self-defense, but you're learning. I love to tell people, I say, get close, come here. You're becoming secretly, you're becoming a martial artist, right? So you sell the self-defense class, but then they learn how to do stuff. And they're like, hey, yeah, and they say, yeah, you're becoming a martial artist, right? But it's about pushing yourself, again, no matter whether you're 16 years old, 60 years old, or whatever, right? Man or woman, that the technique, we're teaching technique to start, but we want people to learn concepts and principles so they can eventually figure out stuff for themselves, right? But the system has to be able to work for everybody and anybody. You don't have to be strong. You don't have to be young, right? That stuff's going to work no matter what, right? And the way we train is just wherever you're at in your life, that we want to take you from wherever you are and push you a little higher, and then a little higher, and then a little higher. I want to take you to functioning in the unconscious state, the flow state,
right,
where you're just able to, on your feet, and when no matter what attack's coming next, defend it. No thinking, you just do, right? And one of the best things I have to share with people today, right? Then one of the reasons why you train is to be able to make recognition, right? You want to reduce the reactionary gap. And that could be for coaching. I'm able to make better decisions faster. And in the gym for martial arts purposes, that I'm able to recognize a dangerous situation and act and respond. The faster you can do that, right, is more chance of survival. You're on the positive side.
Yeah. Again, awareness, right? Thank you for, yeah. Thank you for,
but you need the hours, Mike. So, right.
Put the
10,000 hours, right? Whether it's coaching, continuing to work 1% but every day in every way, or your self-defense or your fitness, right? You need the hours. You have to put in the time. You have to make it a daily habit of what's important for you. And I think that's a good way to close it too.
It's a great way to close it. Putting the work in. Yeah. Well, yeah, I do. Because I appreciate the generosity of your time, but we can't leave without talking about all the right ways for people to reach out to you. So you did mention moderneраwarriors.com and the wealth of stuff you have out there. You're launching a podcast. You hinted at it, so be explicit about it. What can we get excited about?
Yeah, sure. So my online subscription, the book, it took me about 18 months to write. I had some assistance with a ghostwriter too. I don't have time to come and sit and write every day. I have a full-time job, kids, girlfriend, and the part-time business, right? So the book balance. Balance made it take 18 months to write that book, believe it or not. So, but I knew when I was done with the book, I was going to turn more effort, more energy into online programming. And that was before COVID. I just had to finish the book first. So I wasn't going to put myself, right. We focus on the one thing, get that done, knock the dominoes down. Now I'm focusing now on online programming. So if you go to modernwarriors.com, there's an online university there. There's already 150 plus very professionally well done videos on there. And there's an intro to 6 weeks of self-defense for co-ed, men and women. There's a specific one, 6 weeks for women only. There's a 6 weeks of a fitness challenge for people to get started too, into kind of what we do for integrated warrior training. There is a top 20 instructional videos for sandbag, top 20 instructional videos for kettlebell. There's top 20 for yoga. And I would challenge you, even if you do yoga, 10 of those 20 are breath work, meditation, visualization ideas. So a lot of people in the United States are not doing that necessarily in a lot of the yoga classes they take, right? Breath work is huge, not just in our yoga class. And everyone should be doing breath work every day, whether you're doing self-defense, fitness, getting your own coaching, right? And a lot of these tools, strategies, again, once you learn them, you should be just continuing to do them, right? But more to come every Monday night. To include tonight, we're now releasing live videos on Mondays. That's going to be self-defense and fitness for a while. When I get more loaded, we're going to move to some grappling and striking as well. And every Saturday, I'm doing some coaching talks. Awesome. I have a large amount of material to provide people. All the videos, by the way, are meant to be short. So like 10 minutes of a coaching talk, 10 minutes of a technique. We just went live. So with the online university. So I only have a few students. We just went live, right? And there's going to be an ability to have a chat function. So if you join, and if you are able to make it live, you can even ask Q&A, and I'm going to stay on for a while after to answer people's questions. And in addition to the coaching talks about once a month, I said once a month, so once a month, right? We're going to have podcasts. And our first podcast will be this coming Saturday with Michael Osterling, master coach at Unbeatable Mind. One of my favorite guys in the world, right? Great coach mentor of mine that, one of the things that I'm all about is I share. You read the book too. You can, I know nothing. I've learned, I haven't created anything in my life, right? A lot about what I do and promote is learning from experts, right? Learning from experts in coaching. And I've spent, right? I hope your listeners do this too, right? But I spent a lot on my personal growth, right? In coaching, right? In self-defense, fitness, nutrition, et cetera. You mentioned it. If you're in law enforcement or the military and you're not spending your own dime, they're not doing it for you. It won't be enough. So if you're out there, and that's part of the community I know that listens to you, Mike, right, as well, I challenge you, come for a program. So if you can't be here with me, I do 6 to 12 months of online coaching. We have the online portal. Start with the book. Come for a 24-hour program that we have in self-defense, an immersion type program, or a 4-day immersion camp where you're actually going to get, you would walk away with coming out with your own integrated warrior training plan, understand morning ritual, understand the big four mental toughness, right? Things that we do to maybe survive, knock down those dominoes every day, get through life, right? Come away with some self-defense, fitness, a little challenge that's optional on day 2 if people want to participate. I don't push the challenge on day 2, the last hour. But I will tell you that the 3rd day, the first hour will be yoga, because the people that did the challenge will want yoga in the morning.
Awesome.
And the last day we do some instructional on kettlebell and sandbag too. And so it's live. So if you're into what we do in our community and want those live events, awesome. Start with the book, move to the online programming. If you're all in though, give me a call and we'll schedule a discovery call or sign you up for a camp in 2021.
Awesome.
And I'm sorry, Mike, you mentioned it too, right? So 2021 was the best for some of your people. And so I don't care whether it's been your best or your worst year, continue to do something in 2021.
Yeah. Keep moving. Not dead, can't quit. Keep, left foot, right foot, as one buddy of mine would say. So thank you for sharing all that. It's going to be an exciting year for you. Michael O is an amazing way to kick off and initiate your podcast. I think he's a double PhD, done some stuff in the Department of Defense. Right? He is a genius in so many ways, especially in areas that are hard for a lot of us, like dealing with past traumas and emotions.
The one thing I'm going to do for the podcast too, all the material is going to be on the website. It's under a subscription, right? But I'm going to put the podcast out to everybody on Facebook, YouTube, and my site, because those are just all good things for that. What I'm bringing on board people that support and live the life of what we do here, and I want to be able to share those things with everybody and get them interested.
Thank you for sharing those things. And the lives, are those through social media, or where do we find those? Website?
So the lives will be on the website, right? In the online subscription. Those podcasts specifically, though, the piece of that. Right. That I will do once a month will be on my Facebook page, in addition to YouTube's page, and it will be in the coaching section of the online portal as well on my website.
Monthly accountability. I'm going to listen.
Yeah, man.
I'm holding you to it. And then lastly, just in terms of the live events, when you're able to hold those, where are you on the East Coast? Where do those take place?
Yeah, so I'm just outside of Washington, D.C. So I am just inside West Virginia. So we're like 60 miles or whatever it is outside of Washington, D.C. So we're right about at the corner where Virginia, Maryland, and West Virginia come together. It is beautiful here.
Sounds beautiful.
They say it's wild and wonderful.
I'm excited for you, man. Lots of cool stuff going on. I'm excited that, I saw what your current position is as the LE advisor to the AG. So I'm glad to hear you still have a job come January 20th. All good stuff.
Even then, with the change of the Attorney General, I mean, I'm an FBI agent, so I'm FBI supervisor, so I'm good either way. But I look forward to my next year working for a new administration too.
But you're still just Dennis.
I'm still just Dennis.
Well, we'll close where we started, Dennis. Thank you so much for your time. The book was awesome. I really enjoyed it this weekend, and look forward to seeing what you have out this year.
Michael, thank you so much. I wish you and everyone that listens to Man of Mastery the very best 2021.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
All right, good stuff. Thank you again to Dennis Stoika for taking time to do this. I know he's so busy in so many ways in his professional service to that organization, to his community of practice, to his students, and as an author, speaker, coach, taking the time to spend some time sharing that knowledge and experience here with us today. I appreciate it so much, and I appreciate you guys here listening as well. As always, show notes for this episode. If you'd like to get in touch with Dennis, find his social media, find out more about his 1% Warrior, Integrated Warrior Training, please hit the show notes for this episode. You'll find links to all of that at manofmastery.com/076. That's it for this episode for this week. Please share the episode with others. Again, the connections and the incredible folks I've met through doing this for the last couple of years have just been amazing, humbling. And I just ask that if you're getting value from this, share it with somebody else, make those connections, have them reach out to me, Let's continue to connect. Let's continue to lift each other up, continue to grow and get better. So with that, until next show, until next time, get out there, continue your daily practice, continue to be 1% better, build that sustainable growth, and get after it.